Gabriel Ramírez. I work at the University of Amsterdam, and I also studied there my master's in international development. And I also part of an NGO that works on humanitarian communication. So we are in contact with people doing policy, doing fundraising, and also doing a lot of the theoretical work on how do we transition from the current state of affairs in economics and environment to a new one. So that's how I came to this topic of donut economics that we talked about today, and what I wanted to bring to the table.
My name is Diana Ortiz. I am the program coordinator of the WAY project, which is an empowerment program that we are developing in Côte d'Ivoire with the company Conceptos Plásticos, a Colombian company which transforms plastic into bricks and blocks for construction, with constructions that have high social and environmental impact. I hold a master in peace and conflict transformation, which I took in Norway. And yeah, basically I came up with this topic and with this area to strengthen better the knowledge about humanitarian action and policies and practices with vulnerable communities in fragile contexts. Typical day. Okay. As a program coordinator, of course, I must be aware of different aspects of a project regarding financial and administrative matters, operational and technical actions, strategic planning, and so on and so on. I work with a remote team, which is based in Abidjan, and I'm based in Bogota. So I rely a lot on technology, and I hope that doesn't crush me down at some point, because thanks as well to the coronavirus and so on, we have managed to develop different strategies to work in remote and overseas, and that's very important, I believe, for the job that I do, to catch up with different tools, digital tools, working in clouds, working in this kind of meetings, Zooms, and learning different tools. It's a very stressful day, I must admit, because you are planning over activities that might have different kind of factors that can change the outcome. You are working with people and not with a factory with everything is systemized and you just put the button and then it starts the printing or the construction. We are working with people, and that makes that what you are planning to do, it must change because we are human, and that brings a lot of pressure to the job. Working with vulnerable communities as well make it really hard, because many times you are used to explain things easily and to have a public that catch up with you pretty easy and understand what you're saying and so on and so on. But people that doesn't know how to read, how to write, that they have many other problems and many other needs rather than listening a woman by a screen. It is challenging working with vulnerable communities, because you cannot compete with the real needs of the people. I have a great idea for my project, but it might take time, it might take resources, and still every day at the end of the day, my beneficiaries, they still need to eat something, they need to have a roof over their heads. So working in the social sector, it is pleasant, very pleasant, but very stressful as well.
Yeah, in my case, it's almost the opposite, because I am trying to bridge academia or academics from, let's say, the ivory tower towards something more practical, towards policy. How do students use what they learn in the classroom outside? So also the professionalization of students at the university. So it's more trying to ground untangible ideas and try to make them work for logistical purposes. But yeah, in general, my day looks like meetings with stakeholders, professors, and with administrative staff and project staff sometimes, also preparing those meetings, preparing materials, gathering information, gathering data, a lot of communicating with people inside the university, people outside the university. So it's basically being the middle person between very academic ideas and more practical effects.
Well, gender equity is something that definitely we need to develop it from scratch. When we are in the idealization of the project, when we are shaping objectives, where we are shaping goals and so on and so on, we need to start considering gender conditions, as I was saying earlier, gender institutions, community, and the relation of that community with gender, because it's a social project. We cannot change paradigms, certain kind of paradigms as well. And we need to be very cautelous with the approach that we do with our beneficiaries. It's not like, because I'm a Western, I will say, oh, from now on, the people in the project is not going to use, a burqa anymore. I cannot do that kind of thing. So gender is something that we take seriously, and we need to draft the approach from the earliest stages of the project, and understand who are our key partners in the ground regarding the protection and the gender protection for beneficiaries, men and women included. And the other question was the circular economy. The circular economy in the project, and all of this about humanitarian action. As I believe that the approach that the program is having, where we are taking and involving the waste pickers, the supply chain of the Conceptos Plásticos factory, it gives to the populations an opportunity to see and to understand and to be part of a business model that are including them. They are not just our plastic providers. They are the outcome of our actions. We are giving them the strengths, the capacities, the technical knowledge. We follow up in all actions with them, so they can create their own business and they can become stronger actors in the waste management market. And these women can have a voice, and they can even though fight for a fair pricing and a fair treatment inside the market and the economy, because that's what we do in Conceptos Plásticos. We are working from before our supply chain to construct and to build up a more inclusive company and business model which treats equally everyone in the circle.
On the part of the circular economy and the donut economy that we were talking about, I think, or at least I see humanitarian action having a twofold role, because I think humanitarian action, when it happens, it needs to take into account not only the very narrow focus of the humanitarian action that is being done in the field, but also the long-term consequences, the consequences in society, the ecological consequences of doing humanitarian action. But I also think that trying to implement more wholesome policy and decision-making tools should address humanitarian action before it needs to happen. So seeing, for example, disasters or who gets affected by a disaster is also a structural problem that needs to be addressed by the right policies and the right decision-making processes. So I think it needs to be also present in the preemptive part of the story, because humanitarian action also knows what could have been done better to not have these issues where people have to act with humanitarian aid. And that includes, of course, also the impacts in terms of gender for participation economically, who gets beneficiated and when. And that has to be embedded from the beginning in decision-making processes. And that's one of the virtues that I see in the bottom-up approach of doing the donut economics in this particular case.
Mm-hmm. It's tremendous challenge, because we need to grant it that the activity that we are doing, as a matter of fact, close up the cycle with plastic, regarding plastic and so on and so on. That at some point, first of all, we are collecting the plastic from a source that can be potentially dangerous for the environment. In the way, for instance, if I am collecting plastic from a place where the collection is being paid already, for instance, your home, you pay a collection fee. If I collect that plastic from your side, from your house, and I transform that plastic, that is not circular, because in the standards, or the standards that we manage in for the plastic management, the plastic must be recovered from a natural source, from an open body, from a dump site or whatsoever, and should not have a final destination as the one that you are disposing in your home, because you are paying for that final disposition. So learning all those technicalities about the management of the waste, because I'm focusing on plastic, but it's in general the management of the waste and in circular economy, and as a matter of fact, close up the cycle is pretty interesting and challengeful as well. But we are catching up with all those standards and with all the tendencies as well. This is a market that is in constant innovation. Nothing is written down, neither about waste management or circular economy or dynamic economy. This is the good thing, that it's something that is on the construction.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is, I think, is very much something that is being drafted as things happen, and that the examples in the field from how does circular or donut economy looks like in real life, that is taken to then make, let's say, documents or try to theorize about it. I think what you ask about controls, about what are the impacts of the circularity, or how is circularity well done, that is still missing. I see that it has problems. For example, that anyone can say that they're being circular and they don't have to actually show how they're doing it, or that they're not harming people or the environment in the way. But I also think that it gives a lot of room for experimentation, and it allows for, let's say, communities of practice to come together and say, let's come up with an actual way of, let's say, measuring what we're doing, or to putting the limits to what we're doing in terms of circular economy.
I'm just thinking about the idealization of the organizations that are out there implementing, acting, donning money. When you're a student, you don't know the panorama, and then you suppose that because you're going to be engaged with UNICEF, or you're going to be engaged with IRC or whatever, everything will be set in practice with common sense. And no, that's not the case. Many times during the implementation of the projects, as I was saying before, you find out that there are many mistakes inside the companies, that there is many nonsenses, that there are a bunch of contradictions inside the institutions, that for me, at the personal level, the first time that I worked in a UN agency, it was a huge disappointment, because it's not what I was taught about being a UN member, staff, or whatsoever. Because many times it doesn't make sense, because as well, at the end of the day, yes, you are working with fundings from different actors, but still you need to be reporting according to the political interests of the actors, of the donors, and so on and so on. That's drive us. That is why one of the criticisms that I was making about the humanitarian action, take it from the bottom up, stop, or it's not smart to keep designing and acting from the top to the bottom, but take into consideration what is happening in the ground. What are the dynamics in the field, the real needs, not just in terms of, these people need water, clean water, or need shelters or not. What is behind, and as Gabriel was pointing out before, how we prevent the catastrophes or the crises and so on. That would be like one of my biggest learnings in my career, like the expectations that you have when you get into the work, into the daily basis of this journey. But on the other side, for me personally, is absolutely satisfying what I am doing, because I know that my actions here in my desk in Bogota might be changing the life of someone all over the world. And thanks to what I am doing here, people in Ivory Coast, children in Ivory Coast might have a decent classroom where to take a lesson. And that's the good one that I keep for me, and that puts me up as well to keep doing this job.
Yeah, I think what we were talking about it earlier during the talk. I think my professional tip would be to keep reflecting about what you're doing. And I also remember that when I was a student, I saw things in black and white. It was very easy to differentiate what was good and what was bad. And in real life is way messier, and dynamics are always changing the meaning of things that you're doing. So I think it's important to be constantly reflecting on that. And at the same time, to not let that bring you to a halt. Because it's also very easy to think that by not doing anything, then that's the only way of doing no harm, is doing nothing. And I think that specifically for humanitarian action students, that should be that shouldn't be the case. But it's also very important to sometimes lift the head from the work that you're doing and see how it relates to the bigger context, to bigger to other dynamics, power dynamics, ecological dynamics, economical dynamics, and also try to bring as many actors from the actual field into consideration of the work, because it's very easy to see things from above and think that it will be you think that you have the truth and the right thing to do is what you are working on. So I would invite students also for that reflection to be constant during their job and work life.